The Doctor is a woman? Mind-blowing. Hi there everybody, and welcome to the Alex Vlog, and today we're talking Doctor Who because they have now announced the identity of the 13th Doctor. Now, I did not see the reveal live because I live in New Zealand and the Wimbledon men's final would have started at about 1 o'clock in the morning my time, and as I had to be up early this morning, I was in bed and I was asleep. But I found out when I woke up this morning, and I found out that they have cast Jodie Whittaker. In the show's 4-year history, Jodie Whittaker will be the first female to play the Doctor. And my response this morning wasn't exactly brilliant, but I've had all day to think about it, and actually, I don't think it's going to be too bad. I want to say first off, I actually had never even heard of Jodie Whittaker this morning, and that's just by coincidence, you know, because I haven't actually watched anything that she's been in. I looked her up on Wikipedia earlier this afternoon. I was quite pleased actually to find out though that her middle name is Auckland. So her middle name is the same, it's the name of a New Zealand city. Thankfully I don't live in Auckland because it's not the best place in New Zealand to live. I live in Wellington, but yeah, it's interesting. I've never seen anyone, I don't think I've really ever seen anyone with the name Auckland, with Auckland in their name before, so very, very interesting. And it's the same spelling as well. Anyway, enough about New Zealand references. So yeah, Jodie Whittaker is the Doctor. Very, very interesting. I mean, I know I said previously that I wasn't quite for the idea of a female Doctor, and I didn't rule it out. I said I was a little bit worried about what it might mean. And I mean, but so far the outlook is quite positive. I mean, because I've been doing some thinking about it all day, because I mean, I found out this morning, like I found out about 7 o'clock this morning, and it's 4:30 in the afternoon now, so I've had all day really to think about this, and I've been doing a lot of thinking. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I mean, the thing is, what I want to do in this video really is look at some of the arguments for and some of the arguments against, not so much the idea of Jodie Whittaker, but about the argument against a female Doctor in general, and see how much they hold up. Now obviously one of the arguments that's been tossed around a lot is a woman cannot play the Doctor. Well, first of all, that's bollocks, because what is playing the Doctor? It's acting. Jodie Whittaker is an actress. Peter Capaldi is an actor. Matt Smith is an actor. You know, everyone who's played the Doctor has been an actor. You know, the gender of the actor doesn't really make much of a difference. You know, at the end of the day, it's their ability to act and have talent. And from what I've read so far, I mean, like I said, I haven't seen anything that Jodie Whittaker's been in just by coincidence. I mean, because I never saw Broadchurch. It's not quite my cup of tea. Well, mainly because my parents didn't watch it, because it's not quite their cup of tea. Where was I? For some reason I've just completely lost track of what I was talking about there. But yeah, oh yeah. But it's like, you know, at the end of the day, it's about the actor's talent and their ability to play a character well, and it doesn't really matter whether that person is a man or a woman, or whether they are, or whatever gender they identify as, because, or what nationality they are, whether they're black, white, Asian, and whatever, you know, it doesn't really matter so long as they're able to play a part well. It's acting, and you know, anyone can act to a certain degree. Some people better than others. That's why we have celebrities, and ultimately, it's just acting. And I don't see how the fact that Jodie Whittaker is a woman makes her in any way less capable of playing the Doctor than a man. You know, so saying that she cannot physically do it because she's a woman is a load of shit, because the fact that she's a woman doesn't affect her ability to act in any way. So that argument really doesn't hold up. You know, saying that she can't play the Doctor simply because she's a woman is not a reasonable response for being against her playing the Doctor. It's just not. Now, obviously I'm not saying that everyone who's against Jodie Whittaker being the Doctor is against her because she's a woman, because there will be some people out there who just don't like her, you know. If your reaction, say, there will be some people who don't like Jodie Whittaker's acting, you know, they may have seen Jodie Whittaker in other television and film roles and just not been keen on her, and that's fair enough. That's a reasonable response, you know. Not wanting her to be the Doctor simply because you don't like her as an actress and because you've not liked her in other things that you've seen, that's reasonable. But to say that you don't like her being the Doctor purely because she's a woman is not a reasonable way to look at it. That's not a reasonable response. So ultimately, you know, we just have to wait and see how she does. That's a reasonable response. That is reasonable. You know, just wait and see how she performs as the Doctor. I mean, now there are other concerns. The first one interesting concern I had was from a video that I watched about a week or two ago about the idea of a female Doctor, saying that the reason they didn't want a female Doctor was because they felt that the show, not just Doctor Who, but also television in general, is starting to become extremely female dominated, with all these female protagonists and female heroes, and it's starting to become sort of a trend or even a bandwagon that people are jumping on. And, you know, I do agree with that to a certain extent, and it does sometimes feel like a bit of a bandwagon has been jumped on here. But, you know, it's not, you know, it's not too bad, I think, you know. I mean, I guess you could agree, certainly that Doctor Who has become quite female orientated throughout the Stephen Moffat era. You know, we've had Jenny and Vastra, we've had Kate Stewart now as the head of unit, and Missy, and, you know, and so many female characters, and obviously female companions, and you know, it's like some of these, and these are all some of the most important characters in the show. River Song as well. There's been so many important female characters, and if you certainly look throughout the Stephen Moffat era, the only really important male characters have really been Rory and Nardole. And Nardole wasn't even human, but he was still male, but he wasn't even human. I don't think that makes a difference. I don't even know why I brought up the non-human thing, because that's irrelevant. But I suppose that you could argue on the converse that there've been mostly male villains, and I guess that is the case. And we have had some female villains, you know, like female Ice Warriors. I mean, Weeping Angels are female, and our male-dominated villains, particularly the Daleks, are masculine, and the Cybermen, obviously. But I think that's just the way it is, you know. I mean, obviously that's just down to the writers, you know. But a lot of these important characters, particularly in the Moffat era, have been... I mean, in fact, even if you go back to the Russell T Davies era, the only really, really important male characters were probably Mickey Smith and Captain Jack. I mean, they're the only ones I can really think of the top of my head. Yeah. Oh, so I suppose you could say John Simmers, the Master, but he was only in 5 episodes in the Russell T Davies era. Well, really 4, because I mean he only appeared at the very end of Utopia, so really only 4 episodes, and was only really in a couple of episodes just recently, so he hasn't appeared that much. I mean, come to think of it, Captain Jack wasn't in too many episodes. He was in a few, but he wasn't in too many. I mean, what was he in? 10 episodes? I'm not sure, but it's certainly. I could certainly list loads of important female characters and not so many important male characters outside of the Doctor, and that's partly just the way it goes. I mean, ultimately it is following a format of female companions that's been going over the years since the show began. But if you look back over the show's history, you know, you've had the likes of Ian Chesterton and Jamie, Adric, well, actually, and you know, you even look back to those days, they're the only three that I can name off the top of my head for male companions in the classic series. So companions is a bit of a given. And that, in fact, to be honest, that's something I'm very interested to see, is whether with a female Doctor, the companion, because I'm assuming that we're pretty sure that Bill's gone, presumably. It'll be interesting to see whether we have a male or a female companion. That'll be very, very, very interesting. Personally, I don't give a shit either way, to be honest. I really don't care so much. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But the thing about that argument is that we know that Michelle Gomez has said that she's not going to return. So Missy's out, and given how long it was between the end of time and Series 8, it was what, four years, we may not even see the Master for a long time, by which point, who knows, Jodie Whittaker might not even still be in the role by then, you know. I mean, if you look, I mean, David Tennant, Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi have all done 3 series over the course of 3 to 4 years. They've all done similar amounts of time. And, you know, I'm not saying that Jodie Whittaker's going to do the same. She may do less, she may do more than that, she may do the same. But who knows what's going to happen 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. In the show. So it may be years before we even see the Master again. Secondly, it's pretty much established that River Song's character is gone, because the husband to River Song was supposed to be the Doctor's goodbye to River, so she's supposed to be gone, and we haven't seen the Paternoster gang since the beginning of Series 8. So I'm assuming that Jenny Vastra and Strax aren't going to return. I mean, they might return, and I'd love them to return, because I really like the Paternoster gang, but especially Strax, because he's absolutely hilarious, and I really, really enjoy it. And Jenny Vastra provides some good comedy to the show as well. I mean, I am a huge British comedy lover, and, you know, but ultimately we haven't seen them since the beginning of 2014, so it's quite chanceable that they won't be back. So a lot of the main female leads are gone. So it's not really that big of an issue, because ultimately with new showrunner Chris Chibnall taking over, this could be the opportunity to bring back bring in some important male characters, or maybe in the companion role or in different roles. I mean, obviously we've still got Kate Stewart from Unit and probably Osgood, who we haven't seen since Series 9. They weren't in Series 10, but they'll probably return. So I want them to return, because I think Gemma Redgrave plays Kate Stewart brilliantly. Whoever it is, Ingrid Oliver as Osgood, very, very good performances, particularly from Gemma Redgrave as Kate Stewart. And I'd really love to see her character return, because I think she plays her brilliantly, I must say. To be honest, if Gemma Redgrave hadn't played Kate Stewart, then she would have been one of my picks for a female Doctor if she wasn't playing Kate Stewart, because I think to be honest, I think she's really brilliant in the role. I do quite like Gemma Redgrave as an actress. So yeah, it's really good. And so, you know, I think with that we have to wait and see. I mean, I know that people have been saying, oh yeah, but Doctor Who's all female apart from the Doctor. Well, to an extent it has been, but a lot of things are going to change, you know, because this is generally what happens when showrunners change. You know, we're in the same position that we were in when Stephen Moffat took over. Because when Stephen Moffat took over, we had a new Doctor, a new opening titles and opening theme. We had new TARDIS design, new companions, new sonic screwdriver. Everything was new when Stephen Moffat took over, and it's looking like we're going to have the same thing again, because we're having a new Doctor, we're having new companions, probably new TARDIS, and we'll probably have a new opening theme, which I'm actually a little disappointed about, because I really like the current opening titles, and I'm glad that they haven't changed them at all during the Capaldi era. I mean, unless Chris Chibnall decides to stick with them, which he probably won't, because it probably is time they updated them, but I'm quite a fan of the current ones. But yeah, but it's been a good run for Peter Capaldi, and I think it is time for change. And ultimately, I don't think it's really fair for people to say, "Oh, she's going to be shit," because she might not be. I think that you're going to be surprised, because so far, when Peter Capaldi took over, loads of people thought, "Oh, it's going to be awful," and now everybody loves him. He's fantastic, and now there's so many people going around saying, "Oh, Peter's my favourite. Oh, Capaldi's my favourite. Oh, he's R12 is the best." And I bet you that a lot of those people thought he was going to be crap. You know, and you know, people were, you know, there were people against Peter Capaldi being the Doctor because he was an older Doctor compared to David Tennant and Matt Smith. I mean, he is in his 50s. He's the oldest person to have ever played Doctor. And I mean, Jodie Whittaker obviously is considerably younger. She's 35, which is, I don't know how old David Tennant was when he took on the role, and I'm too lazy to get the calculator out to work it out. I'm pretty sure he was. I think he's in his mid-40s now. So he took over in 2005. So he must have been in his early to mid-30s. So he must have been around about the same age. And Matt Smith was in his late 20s when he took on the role, so he was even younger. So we're going back to a younger Doctor for certain. So if anything, people who said who wanted a younger Doctor, you've certainly got a younger Doctor. Now, I'm not going to start making comments anymore about this bloody gender thing, about this whole thing about whatever these bloody bullshit people have been coming up with about, like bloody sexualizing things or things like that, or bloody attractiveness or whatever, because to be honest, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm certainly not reading any negative comments that people are having berating the casting choice just because Jodie is a woman, and I'm not even going to read those comments, because to be honest, if you're going to be a twat and just hate on the decision purely because she's a woman, then you can just bugger off. Because to be quite frank, if you're going to be that bloody biased and sexist and say that the Doctor can't be played by a female, then to be honest, you just don't deserve to be listened to. I mean, the reason why I shared my concerns is because I know it's a massive risk for the BBC to choose a female Doctor. It's a huge risk, but done correctly, it should pay itself off, and it should work. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. I was only concerned because it is a very, very big risk for the BBC to take. But if Jodie and Chris Chibnall and the rest of the production team can make it work, then it's going to be a brilliant show. I mean, Doctor Who has survived one way or another since 1963, and I don't see how. I mean, with the number of people who've been wanting a female Doctor, I think the show is set to survive one way or another. And who knows, it'll be interesting. The thing that I'm more interested to know is what's going to happen when Jodie leaves, because are we going to get another female Doctor straight after, or is it going to go back to a man? That'll be interesting. I think to be honest, there'll be an equal number of complaints either way. So because all of the pro female again will be saying fuck you, you chose and we went back to a man, and all of the pro man, and if they choose a female again, then all of the pro male Doctor people will be saying fuck you because you chose another female. So, and I think usually the BBC I think production companies, particularly the BBC, have normally always worked on a basis of they get an equal number of complaints from both sides, and then they assume that means they've done their job properly. Ultimately, I'm not really bothered, to be honest, because I've never really given much of a shit who plays the Doctor, so long as they do a good job, you know. And as long as we get good Doctor Who, as long as we get decent quality episodes that. And, you know, that's the point, because, you know, I've always been very plot-driven for my Doctor Who viewing. I mean, this is just me talking about my feelings here. I've always been more interested in the plots and the monsters and how the stories work, and I haven't really been so interested so much in the characterisation. I mean, the only time I've really ever complained about characterisation is with Rose Tyler, because I thought that she was an absolute bitch. But, you know, that's not a reason that, you know, I don't hate Billie Piper for that, you know. But, you know, I don't hate Billie Piper because I didn't like Rose Tyler. I just didn't like her character. I don't like the character of Rose Tyler. I don't hate Billie Piper. She was just doing her job. You know? I mean, I don't know how we got onto that topic, but that's just the way it was. I mean, and ultimately, my personal favourite Doctor is Patrick Troughton anyway. So, anyway, and he's dead, so it's not really gonna. It doesn't really bother me, and I'm not so focused on the characterisation of things. You know, I'm more interested in the plots and how it works, and interested in the stories and stories that are told. You know, and for me, that's what's important. Doctor Who is there to tell a story, and it's about science fiction and entertainment, and, you know, I don't see how the Doctor being a female could ruin the show, because ultimately it's just another way of telling a story. That's all it is. It's just another story, slightly different. Well, I think that just about wraps up the discussion. I've certainly been talking for long enough, and yeah, that's it for now, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.